And we are live. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome,
You
welcome,
did it.
welcome to another, I want to say expedition, edition, session. What do you want to call this?
I like expedition.
Expedition. Another expedition of, you ready for it?
Okay.
Thanks for
Thanks for nothing.
nothing, nothing. I am your host, Olivia, Shari.
You're unrecognizable.
I'm Talk about character morph. Yeah, I just woke up
Seriously.
looking like this today. I just imagine her glitching somewhere.
Right.
We had our little Freaky Friday, except it's Wednesday.
Except for it's Wednesday.
It's
Yes.
Wednesday. Well,
All good.
welcome, everyone. If you're here, let us know in the comments where you're at, where you're watching, so that we can interact with you. We'd love to get your input and your questions, and go from there. There she is. I'm there and I'm here at the same time. I'm officially Shari Elise today. And of course, everyone can see because we're twins. Well, I got the hair thing going on there. We're twins. Triplets.
Triplets.
All right. So today's all about going with the flow. So I'll let you start the flow. Flow away.
Oh.
Hey, introduce yourself just in case.
Oh, yes. Hi, everyone. I'm a man of many names. Some know me as Rich. Others who are in the know me as Declan.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And
Totally.
Declan is Rich, let me tell you.
Yes, actually, there's some people who call me Rich Declan, and I
Yeah.
really like that.
Yeah. We'll take that word.
That works. That works for me really well.
Yes.
Yes, and I'm coming to you from Portugal.
Portugal. That's awesome.
Yes.
It looks very Portugal-ish behind you.
Does it? It's my
It
closet.
sounds good. It's your closet.
It's my closet. Yes.
It looks
One of many.
a very, very nice background. So, since I am a little faint in remembrance of when we were talking about going with the flow, I'll let you take over the mindset that came up with the title today.
Oh, well, as we do before any expedition of this show, we think about what do we want to talk about? What do we want to share with you all who are watching? And maybe or maybe not, my doorbell might ring any moment with a handyman who's going to come fix some stuff in the apartment.
The handyman can.
Exactly. And that'll be fun because he doesn't speak English, and we'll figure stuff out. But the reason we came up with go with the flow is I was telling Olivia that my doorbell may ring and I'll have to get up and go. And so we can just go with the flow, and or we'll figure something else out. And that just stuck. And it's pretty good theme, because there's been a lot of going with the flow in all of our lives.
Yes.
Recently.
Yes.
So I thought that fits.
Yeah, if you let the flow have its way with you, it'll take you to some really fun places.
Mm-hmm.
So how's that flow going for you?
It's good.
Yeah. Okay.
I flowed right up 9 floors to this to this beautiful apartment, and actually, there he is. So
right on time.
I'm gonna let you go with the flow. I'll be right back.
Okay. So while Rich and Declan is letting in the handyman, we're going to be talking here today about your flow and how do you know when you're in the flow, because your world is always talking to you 24/7. So while we're waiting for him to come back, how about I do a little close up like that? And I myself have assigned signs ahead of time. You like my handyman song? Thank you. But what I do is I know what my world is, right? And I know how my world talks with me, and I know how my world communicates with me, both verbally, non-verbally, the people that it brings in front of me. And the moment that I get out of the flow, it's very quick. It's almost like having that assistant. I always think of The Devil Wears Prada, and as the main character is walking through Meryl Streep, and she has her assistant kind of giving her all of her, this is your meeting, and this is your meeting, and here's this, and here's this. I always envision that my world is always talking to me like that to let me know if I'm in my flow, because when you are in your flow, life is effortless, right? There's not a whole lot for you to do other than to be aware in the now moment. And really, that's all there ever is. But there are wonderful little signs that I've assigned ahead of time. And I challenge you to be very observant in your universe and let yourself know when you're in the flow. So for example, I know I'm in the flow when I'm out driving and I get a whole bunch of green lights in a row, right? Because that's just the flow of things. I know I'm in the flow if I'm out driving and the traffic is flowing, right? And there's this just beautiful dance that you're doing with life when you're in the flow. I know I'm in the flow and I'm in my world if I come to a door and someone comes to the door with me and they open the door, whether they're on their way out, say if you're going into a store, or they're right there before you and they hold it open for you, right? And I literally will say to myself, and I acknowledge what's happening as it's happening. So when someone opens the door, I will say, I am in the flow, right? Whether I say it out loud or I say it to myself. When I'm getting green light after green light, I'm in the flow. And because whatever you're acknowledging, whatever, especially if you're speaking it out loud or you're writing it down, oh, there he is. There he is. I was just sharing some ways that I know I'm in the flow. I don't know if you could hear me when you were walking around, but I was saying some of my examples, and I assign signs ahead of time because my world's always talking to me and mirroring me, right? And I believe like I have these assistants that are there. And the moment that I step out of the flow, my world wants to let me know that because it benefits for everyone in my world that I be in the flow.
Yes.
Right. And it's just like, and I envision the flow as like your universe is throwing rose petals at your feet as you walk, right? You get to walk on rose petals. Or you see those things walking on water, but like a lily pad, the next one shows up and the next one shows up so that you don't sink into the water. So my signs are when I'm driving, either the traffic is flowing, I'm in the flow. I get a whole bunch of green lights, I'm in the flow. If I'm about to walk into a store, either somebody's walking out and they hold the door open for me, or I'm walking in and they hold the door open for me. Then there he goes, he's disappearing again. So these are ways that I know that I'm in the flow, right? And I think one that's a little bit more subtle is that whatever it is that you're engaged in and doing, everything's working out for you, right? There's no contrast that's stopping the flow from happening. And sometimes you are realizing that and you're doing that as it's happening. And other times you start to realize when there's that little bit of a stop, right? If there's a pause, and a pause doesn't mean that the flow is done. It just means there's a decision that has to be made. So the more you realize that you're getting 24/7 feedback from your world, and it's letting you know if you're in the flow or not. And sometimes when you're in your normal routine, if you're pulled out of your normal routine, that's another type of flow. And your universe is going, yes, this flow is wonderful. However, where you want to get to, it's not going to get you there. You're just kind of on a loop. You're looping around, right? So occasionally we're pulled out of our regular flow and we're then invited to join another stream. And the whole day, that's all that's going is you just imagine you're this beautiful babbling brook. And sometimes you can veer to the left and sometimes you can veer to the right. But the nice thing is that when you are not in your world, there will be signs immediately to let you know it may look like your world, but you are the flow inside of your world. And the moment that you realize that your flow has stopped, even though that your world looks like the room that you're in or the house that you're in or the company that you're in, whatever it is that is no longer serving you, is because you have a certain vibration and your outcome that you want to get to has a certain vibration. So the moment that you step outside the vibration of your outcome, you're going to get some choppier waters. You're going to get some abrupt stops. You're going to get certain things coming in. Let me bring you back. That lets you know that. So I was just letting everyone know that when you have a vibration,
Mhm.
did you know that you're vibrating right now?
Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
We see this. You see this beautiful background we have here. It's yellow and on top and orange on the bottom. Orange is a slower vibration, and the faster the vibration goes, it turns into yellow, right? So even color has a vibration, sound has a vibration. So when you have a done deal, an outcome, and you're at the jump off point, your done deal has a different vibration. So the quicker you get to your done deal is you match the vibration of it, right? Just think about hitting the gas pedal on your car. You can get there at 15 miles an hour, or you can get there at 50 miles an hour or 80 miles an hour. It depends how much are you wanting to be in sync with the flow of getting there. And when you step out of the flow vibration that's needed to get you the quickest, easiest path of least resistance, because think about it, path of least resistance is also the path of most allowance, or it's the flow. Would you agree?
Yes. I love that, path of most allowance.
Allowance. Yeah. Right. Because it's always one coin. There's two sides.
Right.
Right. And if you vibrate with your outcome, you'll get there very, very quickly. But when you step outside of the vibration of your outcome, your world may look exactly the same, but people and things will show up differently. So if you know that you're in the flow and you're about to walk into a building, and it's one thing if no one else is there, right? And you have to open the door for yourself. It's another thing if you say ahead of time, I know I'm in the flow, that no matter what, when I walk up to a door, either somebody's coming in or out and they hold it open for me. And you acknowledge every time this happens, I say, I'm in the flow, whether I say it out loud or I say it to myself as I thank whoever just did what they did. But if I come to a door, and on a rare occasion it does, where they don't hold the door open for me, immediately, now it's not like the end of the world, but it might as well be, because that's a really big sign that I'm no longer in my flow. How about you? What are your signs?
So one, when you were saying that, it made me think of white feathers. So, and it hasn't, not that I'm not in the flow, but this was really specific in earlier when I was visiting Lisbon. I was trying to think back. It feels like a million years ago. And I started to see lots of feathers, and also in Madeira. And it was very specific that I decided the white feathers. And if there were any other colors in the feather, then that didn't count. But there were these periods of time when there were just white feathers everywhere, and they would literally be falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
Or they'd be just, on the ground as I was going about. And so that was one of the things that I created as a sign. Yeah. When I see that, that tells me I'm in the flow. And then,
now let me ask you this, because this is going to be a really important point.
Yeah.
If you don't see the white feathers, do you believe that you're not in the flow?
No.
Okay, good. That's really good.
That's why I was like thinking about how am I going to say this, because here, where I live right now, I haven't seen a lot of feathers around here.
Yeah.
Quite yet, but there are birds literally. Well, I created a sign. I'll tell you this, because you might think it's funny. These windows in this place are huge, and they don't have screens. And I'm on the 9th floor, and I'm in a flight path of these like massive seagulls. This flock of seagulls, and they fly right towards this window that I'm looking out here, which is my bedroom. And then they go up over the building, and there's a jet stream, I guess, and they just circle and circle. And I decided, I was like, you know what? One is going to land inside. So one of them is going to come in here when I have the window open. And when they do, I've already decided what that's going to mean.
Yeah. Awesome.
And this is a different aspect of what we're talking about, right? Assigning a sign. But white feathers, I guess that got into the concept. The concept of white feathers and these birds. But no, if I don't see the feathers, then I'm not thinking, well, I guess I'm not in the flow.
Yeah.
But I know, and I can almost guarantee I'm going to see one any minute. There's going to be a white feather somewhere.
And it always shows up because when you ask for signs and your mind is the one creating them, you don't have to have a logical reason why feathers show up.
No.
Right. It's all about, so for me, I'm always in the flow, right? That's the assumption. I'm always in the flow.
Right.
So if my signs start to show up, it's either a confirmation, which I really don't need, because you know, it's a whole different, when you do acclimation, when you activate or activation, you no longer need confirmation. Right. But in those beginning stages, when you need confirmation, you're in the flow. A really big way that to know that you're not, that you are in the flow, is that things are just going and they're nice and easy, and it's flowy. It's right. There's not a whole lot of decisions to be made. If you have to make a lot of decisions, you're not in the flow. Mm-hmm. If you're making decisions before you have to, you're not in the flow. Mm-hmm. Right. You can't decide to turn left at 3rd Street if you're back at the very 3 streets away. You can think about making the, but you can't actually make the left, right? So you take yourself out of the flow when you're thinking about decisions you have to make before you have to make them.
Yes.
Makes
sense?
I was
just talking to another friend of mine named Cindy.
Yeah.
And she's coming to France, and there's going to be some overlap and timing of her trip and me being here. And she's like us. So she was saying, people keep asking me, what are you going to do in France? And she's like, I don't know. I just know I'm getting there, and then we'll see what happens. Right. And people are like, what do you mean? Yeah. There's this need to have an itinerary. Right.
Right.
And it's very much like how I came to Portugal. I didn't know what I was going to do here, let alone all that has happened while I've been here. But so I had to come, and then we figured it out. Right.
Yeah. So Shari is asking, would you say that learning to trust your intuition, gut choices put you in the flow? So I would say this: when you're not thinking, you're in the flow, and when you're not thinking, what's driving you is intuition. Because you're either in thought or your intuition. You can't be in both simultaneously.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, it's really, really powerful, right? And flow is going into it, right? Intuition, go into it. So when you realize
wait, hold on.
Wait, what?
For those who are listening or watching and don't know you, intuition. This is what she likes to play with words, people. When you are into it, intuition. Yeah. Okay.
And then if you look at the intuit and then the I-O-N, the ion, I on it, man. I'm in it and I'm on it.
And there's a part 2. All right. I love it.
Yeah. We like to play with our words here. So if you realize that you never have to think another thought ever or entertain another thought, that the flow state is the intuitive state. They're synonymous, one and the same.
Yes. Well, and that's for sure how I know, as you know. When this starts thinking too much and trying to figure out, all the things. Well, let me say this a different way. In learning this very specific way of living, really is what this is, right? Because of Rich's past of being very analytical and needing to know, and not only needing to know, but needing to be right about what he knew. There were lots of there was a belief that everything had to be planned out and thought about, and the right choices being made in advance. And to jump into this, I don't know, a very powerful place of being, I don't know. I don't need to know, because what I need to know is going to show up when I stop trying to know it. That was wow, right? And you witnessed the the transferring of a way of looking at life.
Yeah.
And what I can say now is there's so much freedom and fun in not having to have all the answers, and
yet you do,
right?
Where else does it come from, right?
Yes, there's the knowing that it's already done. Whatever needs to happen, or whatever, the pieces are already there, and my thinking can only just get in the way of that, right?
Because it'll stop you from seeing what's right in front of you,
right?
Because you never move.
for instance, and this couldn't be the more, we've talked about this a lot, but not so much here, I think, on this show. Just this place I live in now, literally was looking down. It was like 9 stories above my head from the Airbnb that I was staying at, that I can see out these windows just a few buildings down, right? And on that first floor, which is actually in the United States, we would think of it as the second floor, 1 floor off the ground level, I could only see a certain vantage point out, right? And in that place is where I was trying to figure out, other places too, but just the most recent place where I was trying to figure out, where am I going to live? Where is it going to happen? How's this going to work? And the answer was right here the whole time, going like, hey, we're up here. So there's seagulls up here too, dude.
I want to play with that a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. So would you agree that you are not only in the done deal of you have your place?
Oh my God, we're being sex chatted in the comments. We're in the flow of adult dating.
Only when you and I are on the screen. I don't know about that.
Oh, it's from YouTube. This comes from YouTube. So I'm not sure. She knows how to turn that off.
I have no access to that, so I couldn't even do anything with it. Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
You made it when?
Say it again.
Comments. Anyway, okay. So I wanted to play with this for a little while. All right. So you are not only, you're in your done deal, you have a place to live now that is yours. Right? And not only have you crossed the finish line, but now it's a couple weeks over the finish line, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me ask you this.
Yes.
Let me ask you that. This is the $1 million question. How often are you thinking about finding a place to live in Portugal?
Never. In fact, just earlier, I got an apartment rental listing. I'm like, I don't need that.
Right. So you're in the done deal. You're past the finish line, and you're doing nothing in order to find a place to live, because that would be ridiculous.
Correct.
That's how to be in the done deal.
Right.
That's the flow of your done deal. There's nothing to do. It's already done. But what we don't realize is what day did you move in again? It was the 31st, right, of October.
October 31st.
Right. Okay. You realize that on October 30th, you were already in there. You just didn't have access to it yet, but you knew it, right? But if we take you back to September 30th, you didn't even know that place was, you didn't even look at it yet, but yet you were as much in the done deal as you are now.
Right.
So if the done deal means that you need to actually physically have it, you're only going to get a fraction of the done deals should actually materialize, right? The flow is knowing that even before you asked the question, even when you were in Sandy, even before you and I met, when you were first born, this has been your done deal. And you weren't thinking about it for 50 some years, right? How cool is that flow that you don't need to have, because it was always the done deal. It's just you as the current character. So when did you start to believe it to be a done deal for you?
Well, when you speak specifically about this place.
Yeah. When you first went to look at places, before you knew that place, before you saw that place, did you know it was a done deal? That a place would be done. You would have a place for you.
Yes, but I'm the reason I'm like, it's before I came to Portugal. So I started, and even probably before we met, there are pieces of what this has turned into that I was already, like the views, the specific views that I have,
right.
Trees, water.
So then it makes you now, in this hindsight, that you had those it was kind of vague, right? Because we start vague and we get more specific as we start to engage, right, in this flow.
Yeah.
So if you now realize in hindsight, the bridge of incidents, that you wanted this kind of view, but
And space. Well,
and
actually,
space,
and an office.
right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
you can see now that in the beginning how vague, and then and as you're starting to move closer towards it, it gets more and more clear, more just like if you were walking a half mile, you probably look very vague to you, very small, and as you get closer and
Right.
closer, it gets bigger and bigger, right?
Right.
But you realize now, so could you imagine what you're in the flow with right now, that you have some conceptual ideas of some stuff, could be your business, could be a relationship, that you are now starting to get these little tiny vague hits of intuition in flow, and just think that they're just these little thoughts that, oh yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if? That leads you, as you then decide to think about or put your focus in flow in that, it gets more and more and more and more specific.
Right.
So what are you already in your done deal, because you're starting to get hits of, even though you may not know specifically? Could it be a person? Could it be the next client? Could it be an exploding business?
All of the above. And actually, the thing that I'm thinking about a lot, just, with just, I don't know, how do I say this? I'm not sitting down and saying, I'm going to think about this now. It's not like that. It's just these, kind of what you were saying, like these images, or, like, if to go with what Olivia is saying, intuition.
Yeah.
Right? These glimmers of the ways I feel it or sense it or see it, right?
Have you had the vision yet of your first house party and who's going to be there?
Well, only the reason that happened is because someone who I've yet to actually meet, someone who we connected in a Facebook group, he lives in Spain. He said that he asked me about my housewarming party the other day, and I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I'm going to have one of those, right? But the thing that I keep thinking about really is the villa that I will purchase back on Madeira, the island that I love, because it's just the thing that comes up the most. And I created a sign about that. So the number 108 has come up twice. Came up once in a very interesting conversation with someone who will be a future client of mine, and who is a future client of mine. And then it came up, I was watching this thing about the formation of the Catholic Church. It was very fascinating. And the number 108 popped up because that was the year that something happened that led to the church. And I was like, 108. And then right there, I thought of you, of course. And I said, okay, there it is. So do you want to hear what it is? Okay. Oh, this is really fun. So I decided in that moment that whenever I see the number, oh, this is dangerous to tell you this, especially you. Okay. So
Dun, dun, dun. But that's how we do. That's been up there for a while. That's how we do.
Every time I hear someone says, it shows up 108, which is the number of beads in a mala, a prayer beads, which is also really cool. That I will jump 108 days into my future self, and like, there I am, and will know like that's just where I am now. And I was like, wow, that's like almost 3.5 months. Like, what you were just saying, like, what is it going to be like? And I don't know why, like, that was the first thing that came to my mind. And I just said, okay, I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so this place is fully furnished 108 days from now. I started it from last night. I was like, all right, we're doing it now.
Yeah.
In all these, I know there are things that will have come into physical reality in those 108 days. And there's things that I don't know yet but they're there. And just playing with that really, it just really, I don't know if you can tell, it really lights me up just to think, that, and now of course it's going to happen, right? And it's
already happened.
It's already happened.
and just think a second. Can you remember roughly some kind of timeline of when you had the idea about the vision of what you wanted to look out your window? Because you said it was before we met, so we're going back like maybe late spring, early summer.
Probably a couple of years just in San Diego, because the apartment I was living in is on the lower floor. It doesn't get a lot of light. There's no view. It was a 1-bedroom apartment. And it was how it happened was actually a miracle at that time.
Sure.
And I also knew I need light, I need a view, I need space, I need outdoor space. And so for years now, because I was in that place over 3 years, I started saying, that I want a view. And it started out with, I thought I could have one or the other. So this is what's interesting. I could either see beautiful trees or I can see water, but I can't have both. This was,
back
3
then,
years ago, right? Not now, but I have all of that now, right? I have like ancient architecture outside my windows. I have modern architecture. I have the most beautiful river. I have seagulls. I have beautiful trees everywhere. I have the train on one side. Like I have beautiful Portuguese ships, ancient style ships coming up and down this river. This river is full of fish too, full of these huge fish, which I love to see fish in water. I thought about that the other day. I was like, of course I get so excited when I see fish swimming in water. And I was sitting at the river's edge for the first time and I was like,
fish swimming in water.
Yes. I was like, there's fish. And they're huge. I was like, I got so excited. I was like 3 years old again.
Yeah.
Of course my river has fish because that makes me happy, right?
Why wouldn't it?
All of this, and what else have I not discovered yet here, right?
Yeah.
So all of this stuff that's here was in formation.
Yeah.
And I was able to make this leap, in here from, it's not one or the other. I get to have this view or that view. Like you can freaking have it all, whatever it is that you want, right? So there's been no better proof of that than being in this place and in the way that this whole thing came to be.
So right now, if we're gonna, we talked about flow in the everyday of walking around and things are just flowing. I mean, you can't talk about. There's really no other way to describe flow but flowing, right? It's just ease. It's ease. It's like you're just on a little raft you're on a lazy river on your little blow up, whatever those things are called. I can't think of words right now. See, look, this is when I'm in the flow. I can't think of names of things when I need to know names of things. Float. You float.
Yeah.
You blow up the float. Okay. So, but right now you are in always some vague stages of creation, some more that are now starting to take form, and then some actual physical creation, right? Mm-hmm. And when you realize you're always in those states and you're always flowing, and the only one ever blocking the fruition of it is you through either your thoughts or lack of connected action, inspired action.
Yeah.
It would then, if all you had to do is empty your mind, that's where resting as awareness is probably, I was gone there.
Yes.
And I like it. It's called Ra, R-A-A, Ra.
Ra, but Ra is also, R-A is the Egyptian god.
And then I just think of also what's her name?
Lady Gaga.
There you go. So, but the whole idea is that you are the stillness, right? So going into the stillness, it not only stops the mind, but it allows you to see that the template stays. It might get a little softer around you, meaning what you're looking at, because you do this with your eyes open. This is an eye open meditative state. It allows you to pull out of whatever story that you're in, especially if there's lack of flow, if you will, if there's some resistance there. And then when you come back in and you've emptied out enough, 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, not a whole lot needed, right? Then you just allow, because you're the magnet, allow things to start showing up to you. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you're moving through the flow and sometimes you allow the flow to come to you. If you really want to see passive manifestation, then you just stay still. It will find you, whether you're in a 9th floor in Portugal. And I just love how you're 9th floor Portugal and 108 equals 9. You got a whole 9 theme going on there.
Oh wow! I didn't even think of that.
I love to play with numbers as much as I love to play with words. And
That-
9 is one of my favorite numbers in the whole wide world.
Yes.
Yeah, there he goes. He's got
Counting other numbers now.
As long as it's not time zone calculus, I'm good. Or
Yeah.
or Fahrenheit to Celsius, I'm good there too. So with this flow state, you are now manifesting things that you don't even know that you're manifesting because you don't need to know, but you know it. Once you know that it's done, whatever, if you say pink elephant standing next to me in my penthouse apartment, we're going to put this out there.
Oh my! This is really funny because in my earlier when I was talking about you can have anything, in my brain, I don't know if they were pink. I said flying elephants. Here.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room and the one that's going to be showing up for you.
But I was like, I'm not going to say that out loud because there'll be a freaking elephant outside my window.
And the moment that you say I'm not going to say it out loud, boom, ding, 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 ding.
I could fit a baby elephant on the terrace. That's true.
Now, we didn't say it actually had to be a live breathing elephant, but
that's great.
Pink elephant nonetheless. And when you just go, all right, and then you'll forget this conversation. You'll forget we had this conversation. And next thing you know, it could be a day, it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be a couple months. That pink elephant is now destined. Because it's like how when you put your attention to it, like your butt's touching the chair. Now try to get your attention off your butt touching the chair, right? Eventually you will because your attention goes somewhere else. And that's the really nice thing about being in the flow is that when something's done, there's nothing for you to do. So you just keep yourself busy giving your attention to things that you love. Because here is the be all end all to flow for me is appreciation. Not about gratitude is thinking about something, but right here, right now, just feeling the chills of appreciation.
Oh, say more about that. The difference between, because you as you know, and I know it's also why you're making this specific point.
Yeah,
a lot of talk about gratitude, which is a beautiful thing, and what you're saying is something actually very different.
Well, they're both on the same coin, right? Because you also have the on the coin you have the thought version of it, and then you actually have the experience of it, right? So every coin has two sides, right? Up, down, in, out, right, left. So on one side, when we talk about the thought and you're thinking, oh, I love that dinner last night. Well, you're no longer having the dinner. You're bringing a little bit of it into the now moment, but it's no longer the actual experience of eating the dinner, right? So gratitude is a wonderful thing. If, let's say, if you weren't thinking about eating that dinner and how wonderful it was, your mind would be on a negative loop somewhere. So gratitude has its if it gets you out of a negative thought pattern, the thought of something, yes, by all means. But there's a difference that when you're actually eating the dinner and you are so in the now moment of the joy of it, that's appreciation.
Okay.
So if we say that the thought of the dinner on a scale from 1 to 100, it's a 10, where the appreciation while eating the dinner, because then when you invoke a feel in your body and now sitting where you're sitting, you can invoke that feel again of the appreciation of the dinner, but now it spills out over what you're doing right now. That's a million on a scale of 1 to 100. There's no comparison.
So, I mean, and so what you're also saying is to really be in a place of appreciation.
Nonstop.
But that means that's only in the now.
In the now.
It's not past, it's not looking to the past
what I would say is, well, if right now, let's say you had to fold some laundry and it's just like you can't get into the feels about folding laundry. Even though you have these beautiful clothes, you had the abundance to buy the clothes, you have the apparatus to wash the clothes, right? If that doesn't float your boat for appreciation, but last night's dinner did at that restaurant, then you can go into that
Yeah.
thought until it activates the feel, the sensation,
Right.
blow up the feel, and then bring it into folding the laundry,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah. I get it. What I'm saying is where the power is, where the juice is,
Is
for
right here.
more of the the juice, for more of the juice is in the moment,
Yeah.
finding the way to be in appreciation for whatever is happening.
Well, you don't have to find the way. You are the way.
Being the way. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So when you rest as awareness, you start to get these tingles that happen, right? And even some teachers, when they teach meditation, right? And this is why, though, you want to do resting awareness with your eyes open, because you want to stay present as opposed to losing yourself in a
Right.
closed meditation where you could go into more of a dream-like passive state. So we want to kind of stay active and aware,
Yeah.
but in the most passive, active state we can be in.
Right.
Does that make sense? Right. Okay. So yeah. So it's all about activating a feel and holding that feel, learning not to drop the feel. How feels gets diminished is thought. Thought diminishes because feels are an investment of your time. Thoughts you spend, right? 86,400 seconds in a day, $86,400 of energetic currency. When you're activating a feel, it takes less energy than when you're thinking a thought. Even if it's a huge feel and your whole body just feels like it's going to explode into a billion pieces, it still takes more energy spending that energy. So if you can get something and it doesn't matter if it's a thought that you're having, but it activates a strong enough feel, then go there for a second, bring it here, blow up that feel, and don't let it go. So here's another way you know that you're in the flow. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine there's a target and you have a bow and arrow, right? And on this arrow, there's a string, an energetic string, and you're going to tie it to your waist. And the energetic string's not activated yet. But once you take your focus and you let that arrow go and it hits the bullseye of your done deal, it activates that string and that string stays on you. And you feel that feel now that you know you hit your bullseye and it's a done deal. And all you have to do is pull yourself along that string. And every time you touch it, it activates even more. It activates and it'll never come off your target because it's done. Wouldn't you want to stay in that feel? Would you want any kind of thought that would come in that would diminish that feel? Because you know what you have to do now. You just have to kind of stay in the feel and pull yourself.
Yeah, that's
and the
cool.
more you acknowledge the feel, it's like your butt touching the chair. The more you acknowledge your butt touching the chair, the more you feel your butt touching the chair. So nothing and no one around you, I don't care who they are, is worth you losing that loving feeling, right? Remember that song?
Yes, of course.
That's your subconscious mind singing to you. You've lost that love and feeling. Right?
Yeah,
Because
I like that.
If that's what the done deal feels like, and your regular moment doesn't, and all you need to do is feel the feel of your done deal and not lose that feel. By the time you get there, you'll be so acclimated to it that you'll anchor it right in. It takes a lot for lack to exist because it's not your natural state of being. Your mind has to create stories and lots of words have to go through your mind in order for lack to exist.
Yes.
How cool is that? How are you feeling right now?
How am I feeling?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that arrow. I'm like feeling that. Actually, so what as you were saying all of that, and you got to hear about this experience that I had when I moved in here and the real estate agent left and had handed me like all these keys, right? And the door closed. I had all of these emotions, right? All the emotions I could have. from, you know, the whole spectrum of emotions, which all at once was just like, what? And I shared that with you and Shari, and you told me to like anchor that, like,
Stay in the
yes,
field. Forget about the story. You don't need
yeah.
the story.
So that is what I was feeling.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't like go crazy with it right now, because then I would be like running around in here.
Oh,
But
come on, we want to pay to see that. Come on.
but that is, you know, now that I know what that feeling is,
Yeah.
it's, and then
You
it
can
happened
activate it
again
again.
subsequently after that, and I was like, you know, and it was just this. It's kind of orgasmic.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the closest thing I could think of, is like this is the amazing orgasm
Yeah.
from the inside out.
Yeah.
That's how they happen. And it in that now that I know that from the culmination of this particular done deal, right? This part of the expansive done deal was like, wow.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is I can use that anytime now.
Anytime, because in that sense of completion, in that sense of satisfaction, in that sense of fulfillment, it doesn't matter how many different topics and how many done deals you have. You now have tapped into what a done deal feels like for you.
Yeah.
And you can do that imaginal act over and over again of that last moment where she hands you the keys. There's your imaginal act, right? And she leaves. And that's why we don't ever want to drown out our feelings or repress them down. We don't want to eat them away. We don't want to drink them away. We don't want to push them down, because it doesn't matter what the story is to activate it, whether you stubbed your toe and it pisses you off, or someone just gave you the keys to your penthouse. Feels are feels, and they can be activated and transmute it into the story that you want them to go into.
Mm-hmm.
And that's flow.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Why would you ever want to be in a world where you don't want to feel what you feel? So that's why you want to choose a world that has the feels that you want to feel, not not those lower feels. Powerful stuff.
Can you? This is in the same topic, but we haven't quite touched this yet. The idea that when we've created when we've activated, there's the word, a done deal. Let's say there's a thing that we want to happen. Activate it.
Right. Not the arrow, right?
Yes. So there's no more having to think about that.
No. So once I mean, the arrow analogy is probably the most powerful one that I can give you for activation.
Yes, but that's not what I want to say.
Okay.
That was just the setup.
Okay, the setup.
Okay. So being in the flow then. So instead of keeping focus on the thing that you want and thinking about how it isn't here yet, or when is it going to get here, like that is the long way to get there, right? Or very long way to get there. That's where all the thinking comes in. But instead, to stay in appreciation for exactly how it is right now, right here, is what gets the thing here faster.
Yeah. It's not only because then your jump off becomes the catalyst. It's already the catalyst for your done deal. But when you get excited in the jump off that you've activated your target, then because in the jump off, there's the feeling that there's something more should be here, or I'll feel better in the getting of something, right? So if we leave the jump off like that, it looks like there's lack. But when the jump off and the decision for more is just now decision for different, you acknowledge the beautiful jump off in the activation. It's part of the done deal. And because they've never been separate, you are now, all time and space is the separation between convincing yourself that it's yours. So when the jump off is the done deal and the done deal is the jump off, and they're just a different expression of now, do you get how powerful that is? There's never wanting something more because of lack. You're just wanting something different. And that takes the importance away, and that allows more flow.
So that's
powerful.
What you just said though about something more versus something different, I think that's really powerful, because I've I've experienced
Yeah.
other people's thoughts.
Did you
Well,
have to?
let me finish. Let me
Okay.
finish.
Okay.
You know, so when you're living life like this, as we
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
right? And there's things that we would like to have in our lives, right? Sometimes they may appear like really big things to other people, or very expensive things, or very, luxurious things to other people. And to us, we're like, well, that's just what I want, because then I don't have to tell anyone why. I like that. Thank you, right? But to someone else who isn't trafficking or believe or understanding in these concepts, not living, they're in that place of lack. That thing, like a penthouse apartment, right, could be like, oh, that, how dare you, right? Because that's where they are. But in their view, they would be like, that's too much. In other words, he wants more and more and more. But really, it's just, I just want something different from what I had before. And
That's all I ever heard. You said you were on the low floor, you wanted a high floor. You had a little bit of room, you wanted a lot of room, right? I mean, the comparison is so that you don't get the exact same thing you just had.
Right.
Because to your subconscious mind, whether it's $5, 500, 5,000, 50,000, 50 million, it's just a different choice.
Right.
The only one that has to convince themselves that they're worthy of it is you.
Right. Right. I think, and that's, I guess that's what I'm getting at is
Yeah.
for when more people got that.
Well, there are no more people. There's only you.
That's right. Only I have to get it.
Because everyone is you pushed out.
Right.
And there's always going to be a scale of variety. That's what the law of polarity is, right? Think of temperature. If there was just 100 degrees, 70 degrees, and 30 degrees, right? But there's all the different degrees in between. But really, do you know the difference between 32 and 33 when you're experiencing it? Probably not. Hmm. Do you know the difference between $10 in your account and $12 in your account? Probably not a big difference. Hmm. There's that difference word again. But there's a difference between $10 and $1,000. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you got to use quantity to serve you, not to put you in lack. Mm. Everything should be serving you if you're the conscious creator, not right. And you can create a world of lack, and you can justify, whether you're justifying through yourself or you're justifying through other people, but you've created those other people and their thoughts. You've given them the script. Mm.
Ooh, okay. But that's a whole other show.
And the thing is, when they show up with that script, you just shut them down. Because they exist with different scripts.
Yes. I was actually, yes. Yes.
Yeah. This is what aha moment.
Well,
yeah.
So because we spent a whole hour talking just about the script part, but since we only have a few minutes left, that's plenty because I know you'll do it fast.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Like what you just said, if people are showing up with those lack conversations around you, around me, then I'm not waiting for them to change. I get to change the script. I get to change their characters in my script.
Let's give an analogy. You're in your car and you have your radio on and a song comes on that you don't like. What do?
Change the channel. See, I knew you'd do it fast. That was not even 10 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't force yourself. You don't say, how did I go wrong? How did this song end up on the radio?
Right. I mean, because that's thinking and that's not.
Yeah.
That doesn't achieve anything.
And you do it naturally. It's like, yeah. I mean, something else could get your attention. Maybe you have to pay attention to directions and the song stays on, but you're not even paying attention to the song anymore. Right.
Right.
So every person, everything that's showing up is whether you're in flow or not. And every level of reality has its flow. So you in abundance has one type of flow and you in lack has another type of flow. But when lack starts to show up, you don't question how you got there. You just turn off the lack radio and you go back and you rest as awareness instead of trying to search for a song you do like. Because if you've ever done that and you go through all the radio stations, if you're not believing that there's a song you want to listen to, like if that shook you up so much, you can't look for that other song right now. You got to pull totally out.
Right.
Every single person, I want you to think of a dream, and we'll sum it up with this. If you were in a dream last night and I was in there, right? And Shari was there, and we were all at your apartment in Portugal, right? That is a real reality. But the versions of us that are there were created by your mind. You're in a dream right now. You just don't realize it because you've been taught this is real life.
Right.
But this is this time and space where you've given so much to matter. But yet in your dream last night, your dream was just as real as this is right now.
Yep.
Just because you don't remember all of your dream or it seems choppy, because you're not the consciousness now that was in the dream. That's why you only have little bits of it, because you're no longer a vibrational match to it. So you've created me just like now in this conversation, like you did in the dream last night. You gave me the script of go with the flow today. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about how to do yoga. Mm. How cool is that? Powerful creator that you are. And you're just like the cat that ate the canary. You're sitting there like, damn, I'm good. Yes, you are. You are that good. But did you have to write out all these words for us today? No.
Oh, no.
No. You just gave the script. That's all it is. You're like a doctor. It's a prescription. Prescribing. Right? Prescribing to what it is that you want to show up.
And what is beautiful is anyone can do this.
Well, that's all they're doing all day long anyway.
Right. But are you conscious?
It's about conscious.
And that's the thing. We are all like actually had this conversation with someone earlier today.
Yeah.
About how they had manifested something and the way they said it was like as if it was like this fluke. And I said, you're always manifesting.
Right now. Everybody's manifesting this discussion.
Or not.
Yeah.
Like, you're already good at it. You just are not conscious about it.
You manifest it yourself sitting in a chair. Otherwise, you might be standing.
Yeah.
And we just seem to think it's the stuff that isn't here and then it appears. But it's right now you are holding a vibration, and this is your song. This is your movie. This is your TV show, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And you're in charge of all of it. And the moment someone comes up with a dialogue that you don't want,
change channel. Oh, she froze.
No, I didn't, but I was waiting for you to say that.
I was like, what do you do? I saw the time. It was like, is she
I'll make you question your reality, whether you realize. I couldn't resist.
Oh, people.
Because that's how good we are. Why you come on screen with me? I have no idea ever why anyone ever does.
That was very, very funny.
But you gave me the script for that. So just saying.
Well, because playfulness is part of my reality. So.
But that's why you can never be upset with anyone, because they're only fulfilling the script that you gave them ahead of time. So if you have a disagreement with somebody, it's just as much fun as it was that I froze.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's a whole other show.
And that's how it happens when you're in the flow. It's like an offshoot, an offshoot, an offshoot. We don't have to come up with topics. They just happen.
They just happen. Yes.
So, but I do want to thank you and everyone for joining us here today. I know we didn't get a whole lot of stuff on screen today. Go, go, go. We went with the flow. And we knew it was going to be good. We knew it was going to be good. We knew we were going to laugh. We knew we were going to share. Is the handyman still there? The handyman.
No, he came in and it was like we were doing charades. It was very funny, but it flowed. And so what happened is he's coming back Friday at the same time with all his tools, and now he knows what he has to bring.
And because we never saw him, he's never been real to us. So he's just a figment of your imagination.
He wasn't really here at all.
He wasn't. We just played along with them, guys. That's all it was. But
Right, like he
Right.
thinks someone's at the door, but
I had so much fun here with you today.
likewise.
Yeah. Thanks for nothing.
Thanks for nothing.
Yeah.
Again.
A whole lot of nothing going on. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. And we know that our Shari Olivia will be back.
Yes.
Who will be here with her? Bye.